Okay. An Open Heart by the Dalai Lama. On chapter 2, page 34. I seem to have lost my... No, we've just finished page 35. We're just starting page 36. So, for us to have the will to seek ultimate refuge in the three jewels, we must initially acknowledge a dissatisfaction with our present predicament in life. We must recognise its miserable nature. Based on a true, profound recognition of this, we naturally wish to change our condition and end our suffering. We are then motivated to seek a method for bringing this about. Upon finding such a method, we view it as haven or shelter from the misery we wish to escape. The Buddha, Dharma and Sangha are seen to offer such shelter and are therefore apt providers of refuge from our suffering. It is in this spirit that the Buddhist seeks refuge in the three jewels. We'll go into details about this in a minute, but he's just referring to Buddhist belief that everything is the nature of suffering, and this is a bit depressing, and I got really quite depressed when I started seeing, well, I knew anyway because I'd been physically, emotionally depressed from being burnt out in my job before I started Buddhism, but nothing gives you solid, lasting happiness. You know, that's the type of thing he's trying to, they call it misery. I suppose it's not wrong, but there is happiness, but they're saying it's not like ultimate happiness. Anyway, I'll read it through and it will explain it better than me. Before we seek refuge from suffering, we must first deepen our understanding of its nature and causes. Doing so intensifies our wish to find protection from suffering. There is this argument that we don't change as human beings until we're suffering so bad we haven't got a choice. Such a mental process which incorporates study and contemplation must also be applied to develop our appreciation of the Buddha's qualities. Again, it's not the qualities of a man who lived in the past in an Indian culture. It is the qualities of your and all global living beings, wisdom, compassion. This leads us to value the method by which he attained these qualities. His doctrine, the Dharma. This leads us to value the method by which he attained these qualities. His doctrine, the Dharma. From this ensues our respect for the Sangha, the spiritual practitioners engaged in applying the Dharma. Our sense of respect for this refuge is strengthened by contemplation, as is our determination to engage in a daily practice. This is how the NKT get you see. Because you think, I really like what Buddha's saying, he's right, everything's suffering, and you're just like, boom, your brain is blown open. And then he's like, oh, well, you know, now you need to rely on the Dharma. And you think, well, where can I get a teacher who knows what they're talking about? You look around and the only available like places are NKT places. So you go, and then you think, oh, well, these people must be my Sangha. And you don't know anyone outside of the NKT that's practicing Dharma. So when you look at Dharma as just books and stuff from Buddhism, when you get into it a bit more, you realise Dharma is everything and everywhere, and it's not at all associated with one group or anything like that. It's in the smile of your friend who sees that you're struggling. It's in the kindness and in the gentleness and in the generosity of everyone around you. But anyway, that's another story. I think it's the same for all groups. Like anyone who's been caught up in Buddhism, I think we all make that initial mistake that is external to us. As a Buddhist, when we take refuge in the Buddha's doctrine, the second of the three jewels, we are actually taking refuge in both the prospect of eventual state of freedom from suffering and in the path or method by which we attain such a state. This path, the process of applying this doctrine through conscious spiritual practice, is referred to as the Dharma. The state of being free from suffering, it can also be referred to as the Dharma, as it results from our application of the Buddhist doctrine. I'm sorry, I'm a bit tired this morning. I didn't want to get up early this morning, but it's like 6 o'clock. I've been up since 5. This path, the process of applying this doctrine through conscious spiritual practice, is referred to as the Dharma. I've decided to practice Dharma, therefore I am Buddhist, follow Buddha, so therefore I'm practicing Dharma. The state of being free from suffering can also be referred to as the Dharma. So once you become free from suffering, you are the Dharma, as it results from our application of Buddha's doctrine. Don't know why that's important. I need to think about that. As our understanding and faith in the Dharma grows, we develop an appreciation for the Sangha, the individuals, both past and present, who have attained such states of freedom from suffering. Or, you know, to meet someone who believes and embodies love completely, and who you feel completely safe with, which is part of the Dharma path, to embody that, that's a profound experience that stays with you forever. And this is what kept me going through PTSD, because that's what I call being a refuge for people, to be so lacking in like malicious intent and self-absorption, to be able to just be there and hold a space for someone else. I think because of my depression, that's what really motivated me to get ordained, because I thought, wow, to be this island of like calm refuge for people, it would be amazing. It would be an honour, you know. And I think to a certain degree I've managed to do that, but in another like dimension, because then I've had to deal with PTSD on top of that, and the process of working through, which everyone has to do, your parents and all the crap they dump on you. Sorry, I'm talking too much. We can then, that's why your Sangha isn't the people that necessarily are touting the words, it's the people who embody the actual teachings. We can then conceive of the possibility of a being who has attained total freedom. So your Sangha, because they're trying to embody the vast good qualities of Buddha, if you've got lots of people trying to do that, each one will have a different sort of like skill area, and it will help you conceive of what a Buddha is. Maybe that's what that's about. We can then conceive of the possibility of a being who has attained total freedom from the negative aspects of mind, a Buddha. And as our recognition of the miserable nature of life develops, so does our appreciation of the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. Oh, I see. So in theory, as your own attachments and misconceptions crumble around you, and you lose your sort of footing with what used to give you happiness, you're supposed to be able to then look around you at your Sangha and how calm and peaceful and wonderful and kind, and they are what you're working towards, and so therefore that's support. Well, I don't know how often that happens. The three jewels in which we seek shelter. So does our appreciation of the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. The three jewels in which we seek shelter. This intensifies our quest for their protection. At the outset of the Buddhist path, our need for the protection of the three jewels can at most be grasped intellectually. Well, it's very intellectual for me. Like the whole concept of not getting angry, or being in a state of awareness and consciousness so much that you can deal with things as they arrive peacefully. I mean, that is an intellectual thing for me right now. This is especially so for those not raised inside a faith, because the three jewels have their equivalent in other traditions. It is often easier for those who have been raised inside such a tradition to recognise their value. I don't know about that. I suppose so. Because I've met loads of people who aren't religious that are very moral and good people. Okay, right, so the next bit. It's not working.